If every, I call the meeting to order if everyone's here and we have a quorum.
We
Okay,
do, ma'am.
all right. Kathy, you want to do the roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Helfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Stevens,
Here.
Commissioner Hudson,
Miss Sharon Hudson, you here?
Commissioner Tripp, Commissioner Lawson,
Here.
Commissioner Ward,
Here.
Chair Siebert,
Here.
Council Liaison Garitano,
Here.
Staff Liaison Cruz.
Here.
Okay. Everyone's here and we have a quorum. So, all right, first thing on the agenda is, all right. Kathy, can you help me out till I pull up the agenda, please?
Sure. It's the approval of the minutes. So we're just looking for a motion and
Okay.
second from January 6th. Minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as that were sent as presented.
Second.
Okay, if all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any objections? All right, minutes are approved.
Thank you. Next
And
is,
are there any outside,
no, no comments were submitted in advance of the
anybody
meeting.
joining us, not on the commission?
No, there's no one on the call and no comments were received in advance of the
Okay.
meeting, so we can move on.
What happened? Okay. All right, Kathy, the next item, I'm not fine.
Sure. The next
My
item is,
apologies for tonight.
you're okay. Now we're into the meat of the meeting. So it's to
Kathy, what
discuss.
would be the next thing on the agenda?
Sure. It's the discussion of scheduling and
Hello?
logistics for the event. I don't think she can hear me. So the first item would be current commitments. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Vunich.
Ms. Siebert, can you hear us?
I don't think she can.
Okay, you're breaking up. I can't hear.
Kathy, is there anything we can do on our end to assist her?
No, it's either her internet connection or her volume. I mean, I can try, but
she's
frozen right now. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
frozen.
Her internet.
If you want to go ahead and start, I'll call her.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. With the permission of the commission, we'll go ahead and get started while Ms. Siebert works out her internet problem with the Zoom webinar platform. I do want to recognize a few people on the screen tonight. As the commission will remember, at our last meeting at the start of January, there was a request to invite the leadership of the Wildwood Business Association to our next meeting, which is today or tonight. And Ms. Willis and Ms. Gotsky are here from the WBA and will be participating in our discussion. And also, as always, Mr. McGowan is here representing the Boy Scouts, who have been an integral part of the Celebrate Wildwood event for many years. As I mentioned, when we met last, we talked about having the event on September 25th. We also have the option of doing a Friday evening event if there was interest from the Wildwood Business Association. And if there was not, how the Wildwood Business Association might be interested in participating on Saturday as part of the main event that we plan on having. And so tonight, Ms. Willis and Ms. Gotsky are here. I talked with Ms. Willis earlier this week and kind of explained to her that we really have a blank slate. We're welcoming any ideas they might have. And so with the permission of the commission, I'd kind of like to turn it over to Ms. Willis and let her kind of go through what Ms. Gotsky and her have talked about or what they might think would be a good addition. So thank you.
evening, everyone. Yeah, Jenny and I had some conversations about how we would like to get involved with the Celebrate Wildwood event. And if the answer is yes, we would love to. We love to get involved with anything happening in the Wildwood area. We came up with a pretty cool idea that we think will go well with the families, the businesses, and kind of keep COVID in our minds as well. So we came up with the idea of either Friday or Saturday night doing a lantern festival. So what that entails is we purchased a lantern, and through my company, I was actually able to find 100 of them for $118. So it's really reasonably priced. And what we're able to do is have a sign up in advance to where a family, one family is allotted one lantern. And it has a place where they can write a note on it to maybe someone who's passed away from COVID, or the Chinese lantern itself, festival means peace, forgiveness, reconciliation, and moving on. So we thought it was just a beautiful idea to just have this lantern festival to where at the end of the night, everyone who's pre-registered comes to the WBA booth, picks up their lantern, and then all at once, we light them off, and this beautiful kind of send away of lanterns. So that was kind of our idea. Jenny, did you have anything you want to add to that?
I think you covered that pretty great, Emily. I liked it.
Thank you.
It's a fantastic idea.
It's a
That sounds like a
wonderful
great
idea.
idea.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, so
good.
it's cost effective. There's no, like, we wanted to do a beer festival or something like that, but just with all the regulations with food and people touching, we decided, we came up with this because nobody really has to touch anything. One family has their own lantern, and I just have this beautiful picture of like all the lanterns going off at once, and it just being this like beautiful moment in Wildwood. So
I'm excited. I think it'll be beautiful, and I think it'll be easy to social distance as well. So that won't have to be a worry.
It sounds
Hi,
like
this is
something we might
Vicky.
want to incorporate each year. I think that's a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah.
For COVID, of course, but going forward, it would be something that Wildwood kind of would get known for.
right.
I have a question.
Mhm.
This is Vicky. My kids used to go to school over on Wild Horse Creek Road, and when they did a balloon release, they had to notify the Spirit of St. Louis Airport. And so the only question I have is, do we have to have any kind of special clearance to do it? Because I think that sounds like such a cool idea.
There is a checklist of things that I did some research. There's a checklist of things that we would definitely have to get done. One would be you have to notify the fire department. Not that these haven't, there's been no record of anything ever catching on fire from a lantern. They do it in China, and it's absolutely beautiful. But you do have to notify the airport, and we would have to, just because we're in proximity to them. If we weren't within 50 miles, then you wouldn't have to. So that's how I believe, like Brookdale Farms in Eureka, they don't have to notify them. And that's who I spoke to, as a friend of mine who runs that one. And then as far as, I was looking at the chat, someone had a question. No, you do not need a big field for them. So my idea was we could all just light them off right there at the festival. And then anybody who didn't want to participate in the festival could pick one up from like Jenny Goski's office in Wildwood, and they can set it off right there from their home. Could also be an opportunity. But no, they don't have any environmental concerns, and there's no fire concerns. But I can always send you the document that I received on all the regulations of a lantern festival.
Excellent.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Okay. Would you have to pre-register your family to get your lantern? Or would you just register at the event, and how would that work? How would you know how many lanterns, will be
We definitely would want
participating?
a pre-registration, just so we knew how many to buy. And then also so we could have a little bit more organization of it, so not everyone's coming at one place. So we might have, like, if your last name is A to C, pick it up at Jenny Goski's booth. If it's, D to G, pick it up at, one of our other businesses booths or something like that.
Okay,
Is kind of what we were thinking, just so we didn't have just one giant group of people going to one place to try to get them. But pre-registration, I think, would be key. And then how we're going to pay for the lamps, we were going to talk to the businesses and see if they wanted to do a donation to it or a sponsor, sponsoring of the lantern, and we could, promote that on flyers, we can promote that on social, we can promote that all over the place with the businesses' names.
And Emily, were you thinking this would be at the end of the celebration, or the timing of it? What were your thoughts on timing?
Well, I was going to ask the committee if you guys were doing fireworks, and if so, which night? If you're doing fireworks on Saturday night, this might be a beautiful thing to do on Friday night, unless you're doing fireworks both nights. So really, I mean, this is just preliminary ideas, but we figured Friday night, it might be a kind of a neat thing to do and get people to come out to both nights. If it's something we're only doing one night, then maybe let them go right before the fireworks. So, I mean, we're up for any kind of ideas.
okay. I think we're planning on fireworks for Saturday. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes, after the main concert is typically when we have the fireworks.
Okay, so this part of the event would be great on Friday night, provided the weather stays good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then definitely if fireworks are happening as like kind of the big finale on Saturday, then this could be the finale on Friday night.
And then if the weather was not good, it would not happen, correct?
We'd have to maybe postpone it to a later date, because by then we've already purchased all of those lanterns. So
Right.
we postpone it to another date and, go from there.
Okay, well, we'll just say a few prayers for good weather. Okay.
So Madam
What,
Chair,
any other comments from the commission or thoughts, questions?
Corey has her hand up. Corey?
Yeah. Do we have any events scheduled for Friday, or was this what we were going to do with the Wildwood Business Association, something on Friday?
that's a very good question, Ms. Lawson, because we hadn't really structured a Friday event, waiting to see what the WBA preferred. So we need to talk about having something on Friday if we want to do the Lantern Festival on Friday evening, or how best to address it on Saturday, knowing that we have yet to schedule the fireworks, but we certainly have that on our list of things to do. So that's the question. We need to
My
kind of
thought
figure out.
Yeah, well, what is the cost increase if we have things on Friday, Joe, as opposed to just on Saturday? For example, the rental of any equipment and the setup, electrical work, trash pickup, stages.
All of that would be delivered on Friday regardless, so I don't think there's a major cost consideration. I just want to make sure that there's enough vendors and other participants there in the booths, and that we have a good crowd for the event as well. We don't want the WBA to do a lot of work and not have many people participate. I think the
And then when
guarantee is, please go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I was just going to ask,
No.
will we also need music for Friday night then?
I think it'd be preferable if we have an event, we have some kind of music now. Does it need to be another major band like the McEwen Band out of Nashville, Tennessee? No. Could it be a DJ? Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of flexibility. Don't panic though. I mean, I think if my question to you all is, do you like the idea of a Lantern Festival?
Yes.
And
Definitely.
if you do,
Yes,
Yes.
very much so.
then we can figure this out. We can step back. Now we know that the WBA is interested, which they said yes. They have I think a wonderful idea for for either Friday evening or sometime Saturday. And all we really need to do is step back and we'll figure it out over the course of the next month. And we'll make sure that if we do something on Friday, they're not there by themselves, so to speak.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Libby
do-
had her hand up, Susan.
We
Libby,
do have a business owner who owns a business there in Wildwood who also has a band. So we can throw that
Okay.
out there.
Great.
That's great, yeah.
And that was my question too, is did we already have something planned for Friday night so that we could make sure that there was participation? So Corey covered it.
And again, Miss Wilson, it's kind of been flexible. We talked about potentially having a 5K or some type of event. We produced a memo that talked about maybe Saturday morning in lieu of the parade. There's a lot of decisions we need to make quickly, but I think we now know we have an event from the WBA we need to kind of address and put at the best time possible. It's convenient and best for the WBA and works for the rest of the schedule for our event.
Okay. And a question, we would try to advertise this heavily, wouldn't we? With social media and posters and whatever to get families to participate in this. Right?
Madam Chair, the good news is we'll double our punch, so to speak, because the city will do all of its social media and past advertisement, but we'll also have the WBA participating. So
Okay.
I think we'll reach hopefully twice as many, if not more people.
And I
Great.
think the COVID connection with this one, the memorial type thing would definitely catch, it's definitely newsworthy and should maybe solicit some outside interest via, the newspaper and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the Post-Dispatch might be there. They might be interested in coming out and, I mean, this is unique.
Mhm.
And it would be great for the business association as well as Wildwood and all the families,
I think we need to make sure we advertise it through the schools if we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we could get the kids interested in doing this and they learn about it from school, is that possible to do? Is it allowed for us to do that?
We've advertised other events through the school district. We usually work with the principals, but we'll figure that out. That's certainly a suggestion. And acknowledging that if we have a large attendance of school children, Gary also found out this week that the bounce houses may be back in play if we want to consider it. He had a long conversation with.
How is that?
Well, they have thought it all through, Ms. Helpfrey, and a lot of their bounce houses that require people to kind of cross in front of each other, come in contact with each other, they're not using. But those that allow people to walk in, go straight through, come out on the other side and be able to, so to speak, socially distance, those are the ones that they can offer. So it's an option. I'm not 100% convinced we should do it. And Gary can provide much more detail.
Hello? We're talking all the
Yeah.
way in September, right?
Yeah.
All the way in September. I haven't heard any prognostication saying that we wouldn't have everybody who wants to be vaccinated by then.
Right.
Am I being too optimistic, you
Well,
think?
given that Missouri is 50 or very low in that
We're at the
projection
bottom,
of,
man. We're at the bottom.
I know.
I
but
know.
I'm saying we have to also factor that in.
Well,
But
yeah.
I think Parson is being forced or really pushed into getting these vaccines out. And according to Biden's COVID task force that was on television today, they're expecting the country or whoever wants a vaccine to be vaccinated by the end of the summer, by the end of August, if not before. So Missouri may be slow in the beginning, but I think Parsons really getting pushed to get these vaccinations done, you know, in the arms of people.
Well, from the
So-
department's perspective, we're assuming we'll have an event, and that makes the assumption that most people will be vaccinated by then. But we are not going to tempt fate, and so if we can be safe about how we do our event, regardless, then I think we'll be able to have an event.
And people still may be wearing masks. They may not, but they might be. Now,
It seems to me that at the end of September, we can have a safe event because anybody who wants to be should have been vaccinated, right? And so if we have an event where everybody can come, whether they're vaccinated or not, then don't you think then that possibly the people who are afraid wouldn't come? I mean, but we have a lot of people who would be feeling pretty confident by then, probably. Am I thinking the wrong way? Because I'm thinking in a really positive way that everybody is going to be crazy excited to come out and do something, including bounce houses. So, and I also don't really see how you can have a safe bounce house. It's either safe or not safe, man.
Well,
when
again,
would-
Gary, pardon
I'm
me,
sorry.
ma'am.
I'm sorry. When
No.
would what would be the latest date that they would have to know to contract for this?
The
Joe?
bounce house people are being, they're being really good about all this, and because their business, like a lot of people, have been hurt a lot. But they are starting to come back online with things, and in fact, they're renting out a lot of their equipment to schools because the schools are sort of in a little capsule of their own anyway. So they don't supervise the school, teachers supervise the use of these bounce houses. As far as the equipment that they would use, they don't, a regular bounce house like you're thinking about when the kids go in and they're all bouncing around, they won't do those. They do through, their equipment is equipment that goes through. So when they have obstacle courses where you have 3 pathways and they go straight through and it slides there, but they come down, anything so they can avoid the contact. She pointed out to me is that when we set up this bounce house menagerie every year when we set that up, St. Louis County has to come out and inspect those. And those are really a thorough inspection. It takes them a couple of hours to do that. But in addition to the standard inspection, we also have to justify through the health department of what we're going to do to prevent close contact with these bounce houses. So if we decided to use bounce houses, then the city would have to prepare a memorandum to the St. Louis County Health Department, and then they have to come out and inspect and approve the whole process. The comment from the bounce house people were, if we're having an event that's going to bring 2,000 to 5,000 people, they don't understand. They don't think that the health department would not approve them, because if we already have an event where there's 2,000 people there, what harm will that bounce
Right.
houses be? So,
Right. I'm all for bounce houses. This is still Vicky, guys, but I'm all for bounce houses. If anybody cares my opinion.
We all do. All of us.
Thank you, Corey.
All of
Thank you
us.
so much. Thank you so much. I'm all for anything to have for to have a good time. I'm all
Yeah.
about fun, so.
And also we're not trying to pressure the commission in any way, but I was really informed when I was talking to them yesterday that September is anticipated to be their busiest month because everybody, like everybody's been discussing, vaccination should be out of the way. They should have turned the corner relative to COVID. September is always their busiest month anyway. They're really expecting to be busy this September. So they held the date for us right now.
Good.
So we have to get back to them if we decide we want this.
Okay. And when would we have to get back to them, Gary? As soon as possible?
Yes, ma'am, as soon as possible.
Can
Okay.
I make a move that we motion? Can I make a motion? Let's get
Of
bounce
course you
houses.
can.
Let's get bounce houses. Let's
Second
book
the
'em.
motion.
Thank you,
Okay, is
Vicki.
there a second then? If
Vicki.
we're gonna do this?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone have objections? Okay, we're gonna go with bounce houses.
Madam Chair, while we're making motions, could we make a motion to endorse the Lantern Festival with a
Yes, that,
and time
I
to be
was just
determined?
gonna say that. All right, is there a motion, or I make a motion that we accept the proposal for the Lantern Festival? Is there a second?
I second it.
Lots of
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Questions? Okay, the
Thank you.
Wildwood Business Association is on. That was that's a really good proposal. Thank you.
We're excited to
Emma.
partner with you guys.
We're glad to have you.
All right. So next thing on the agenda is okay, our current commitments. Did we go through that?
Madam Chair, if we could, I think Kathy's prepared a memorandum that she'd like to present at this time.
Okay. Go ahead, Kathy.
And before she starts, if Ms. Willis and Ms. Skotsky would like to go elsewhere, we would take no offense.
Bye,
Thank you both. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a good week.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Stay warm. It's gonna be darn cold. Okay,
Madam Chair, members of the commission, thank you. The department prepared a memorandum that reviewed, includes some of our current commitments, but also the directives that you gave us at last month's meeting. And so we tried a different format this time to give you a little bit more detail on what we've been working on, and even threw in a couple recommendations that you can take them or leave them. It's always up to you. It's always your choice. So the first was the parade, and we discussed the pros and cons of the parade. And one of the difficulties we always have is that stretch from Schnooks to Taylor Road is very sparsely attended. The bulk of the people are on Taylor Road. And so in an effort to, if we want to still have the parade, to try and get more bang for our buck and have a well-attended parade and not have people walk a half a mile when there are nobody watching. So we looked at New Community Church, which is just west of the roundabout on Manchester Road. It reduces the parade length in nearly half. It's about a half a mile then instead of a full mile, but it would take them, basically through the roundabout, just up Taylor Road and down Main Street. And we could fit about 25 participants per our calculations. In 2019, the parade had 27 participants. So about the size of what we had, people could park there and we could queue the parade route. So, decision will need to be made on if you all want to do the parade, and your options would be, we can continue with the parade as is. We can still queue at Schnooks and hope that there's viewers lined up, We could queue it at New Community Church and make the route much shorter, or we could replace the parade with a 5K or something, some type of trail event that you all had talked about. So we can take these one at a time, or I can just run through. There's about 5 quick items and then we can discuss. But if you have questions, just stop me in the middle. But the next item was the trails event that we talked about. We've discussed that kind of the best thing Wildwood has done in 25 years is parks and trails, and it's what we're known for. People are moving here just for our trails. And so we wanted to try and highlight those in our event. So we thought to keep everything kind of focused in the starting point within the town center. We have a route that we've used once on an event called the Wildwood Greenway. It's a 5K event, and it would feature the Wildwood Greenway, which is that's the trail system along State Route 100 and 109 in this vicinity. So it would take participants west on the Wildwood Greenway. It takes them over the pedestrian bridge. It takes them through the tunnel at Pine Grover Loop. They would see through Community Park and then come back on the tunnel. So it kind of, or I'm sorry, the pedestrian bridge. So it kind of features some of our best trail amenities. The pedestrian bridges, the tunnels are kind of unique, but it's also a very safe route to keep people off of the roads. So we thought that would be fun. The logo is already complete. And so that would be a money saver if we wanted to reuse that logo for this type of event. We discussed as staff, one feature we thought would kind of be cool is maybe to have some music along the trail route. I don't know if anyone's ever done, I did a turkey trot that had music just everywhere. And for those of us that aren't always out there running, it really keeps you moving. So we thought maybe that would be fun, and we'd work on ways to encourage participation along that route itself. But the nice part is it starts and ends basically just north of City Hall on the trail, right by Anthology on 100. So that's an option if you want to take a break from the parade for 1 year. We could do it on Saturday morning. We could also make it at a different time during the weekend if you want to keep the parade and not have that competition. So the other thing was the partnership with WBA, which we just covered. And then we discussed entertainment at the last meeting, and Gary contacted the McCune Band and they are available. So that contract has been amended and they are now booked for September 25th. And then, we looked at other kids activities. I think last time we were thinking we wouldn't have the bounce houses, although that is back in, but we can still have these other kids activities as well. So we looked at the bubble bus, Juggling Jeff, which Juggling Jeff did respond and he is available. Balloon artists and face painters. And the face painters are not painting the face because of the pandemic, but they're doing these decorative arm paintings. So we could still have them in. All of those are available that we can book with the direction of the commission. We've contacted the B&B Theater, and they would allow us to rent or utilize 1 or 2 screens all day long, and we could show kids movies or family-friendly movies there as well. Staff is planning, I think it was Commissioner Wilson who recommended a scavenger hunt. So we discussed that, and I think we're going to host that probably in the Village Green area. So it'll give people some physical separation, but it'll be something that they can do on their own throughout the day. We're reaching out to St. Louis County Library to see if they have some suggestions on programming. And then the other 2 were things that you all had planned for the 2020 event, which is the time capsule and doing an adopt a tree. So if you're still interested in doing those, staff, we can work through some logistics and some ideas as well. So again, whatever you're interested in that list and any other items, let us know and we can get that booked. Relative to booths, the artists have been invited, and we sent that email out late on Monday, and I think we had 7 as of this morning that have already signed up. So we are getting interest from the art community. We're going to wait a couple of weeks and give the artists first stab at the booths, and then we will send it out to crafters to invite them, as well as nonprofits, book authors, other partner organizations for the city. We have not opened up food and drink vendors yet. We were waiting to see if whatever the plans would be for Friday evening, because we need to let those vendors know in advance when they register if we need them on Friday and Saturday or just Saturday. So when that decision's made, we can book them as well or send out invitations on them. And then the final item that you gave us direction on is sponsorships, and Mr. Vunich will touch on that when we're finished with all of the other items. And Commissioner Lawson, to answer your question in the chat relative to musicians for the 5K and getting power, yes, there are certain locations throughout that do have power. As they come through Community Park, there's power. And we could also run a generator if there were some locations, or depending on the what the entertainment is, you know, there may not be a need if it's you know, I've seen high school jazz bands or you know, smaller bands and in smaller locations, but we could always do generators. Or
They still need electric. If they're outside, they'll need to have power.
I make a motion that we have employees of the city at every corner and they sing. That could be the music along the trail.
I thought you wanted participation. Because if I'm singing there, well, I might make them run fast. So yes, but we could figure that out. I mean, that's just some of the logistics that we'll work through if
I was just thinking, that's a really, really great idea to have music along the way. And then it occurred to me that the musicians I know need to have power or you can't hear them, especially if it's outside.
Sure.
Kathy, remind me, we couldn't get Lafayette Band or Eureka Band, right?
Oh, that's correct. I'm sorry. I kind of skipped over that. Yes, Lafayette High School is unavailable for all of our dates. We reached out to the Eureka High School Marching Band more than once and have had received no response. And so our assumption is they're not available. I think their schedule would likely be nearly mirror Lafayette High School. So there is no marching band.
This is
Question.
Vicky. I'm sorry, go ahead.
A question that I had regarding the 5K race and the parade. Now the parade is a shorter distance, right?
Well, that's up to you all. We can keep it as
I
is
mean,
if
if
you'd
we
like.
went with a community church, it would be a shorter distance.
Yes.
Is there any way, because I think the parade is kind of important, especially to the golf carts with the wards. We were going to really decorate those this year, and I thought that would really be fun. But is there a way we can do both? Can we have a 5K race starting early? And how long would that be? And then start the parade when they're finished?
Well, generally on a 5K run or walk, it can take up to an hour from the time the race begins to have the last person come in. So I think the difficulty would be, and I will ask Mr. Vunich to pipe in, is organizational and staff commitments. A 5K, whenever the parade happens, we're running in 8 million directions to queue people up, to get them down to the start of the parade, to line up the parade, to get them through, to judge, to you know, all this stuff. At the same time, we're trying to get food and drink vendors moved in, booths set up, you know, everything organized there as well. So if we're also trying to do a 5K at the same time, or
it's just too much.
I think it would be a challenge for us, but
I do have a question. Have you who work for the city, Kathy and Joe and Gary and everybody, have you ever heard anybody say that they really love the parade?
Well, I'll tell you the one comment that we get every year from the Shriners: you all have a great parade. It's a shame nobody's there to see it.
Yeah, I have.
And
So I
so
wonder, are we flogging ourselves about something that the community really doesn't care about?
Right, right.
I think the parade is a wonderful thing for the neighborhoods right around the parade. That's the vast majority of the attendance. So I'm sure Miss Siebert and Councilman Garitano are big fans of the parade. It's right out front their neighborhood. There's always that core group of people. But we struggle with getting people from other areas within the city to attend the parade. We have a staff member, I'll just give you a little example. And not to say that he didn't know, but he's a newer staffer. He's lived for years in Lafayette Trails, which is right at 100 and 109. And he said, we have a parade. Oh, dang it.
Wow.
We
Okay.
do. So I don't know. I mean, I can tell you our perspective from the work into the parade and then just seeing it, but I don't know. That's up to you all. We're happy to do it.
The other question I have, the other thought is, we can't get a marching band.
Right.
And in my mind, that's the big deal about the parade. The golf carts are fun, but the marching band is where it's at for me. I just think those kids doing that is just spectacular. I just love it. And if we can't get a marching band, my interest as a citizen kind of wanes a bit. Unless you had horses, parade horses, get parade horses, and that's
a cleanup. But you know,
The Boy Scouts
this
have to
might
be in
a
front of the
year-
horses.
Right. This might be a year to try something new and maybe not have the parade this year and go with the 5K. Just because it's a whole different paradigm. We've got new possibilities, just to try something new. You could always return to a
I was
parade.
about to say, and I
Yeah,
think the best part of 2021 with the pandemic is we can branch off and we can go right back to what we've always done in 2022 if we decide that was a terrible mistake.
Hey, Kathy, this is Vicki.
Yes, ma'am.
You were talking a minute ago. I kind of lost my train of thought about music. And one of the things I wanted to put out there was St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, because they have been unable to do concerts, has done a lot of smaller venues and a lot of smaller little group things. I'm wondering if maybe if we're looking for some sort of music for Friday night or for the 5K, if it might be possible to reach out to the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and see if they are willing to do anything because of that. I don't know if they would be, but we're members, and so they're doing these smaller things now because they haven't been able to do the big concerts. It's something to look into. So,
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
I mean, the symphony's been doing a lot of things online and virtual concerts. We've gotten a lot, Charlie and I have gotten a lot of emails for the virtual concerts. So, but they might. And I do have a question. How many people do you think or have participated in the past in the 5K?
That number has varied. We started our Route 66 5K back in 2001, I want to say, maybe even a couple years earlier. So we've been doing them about 20 years. Some have tailed off a little bit because now everybody's doing 5Ks, but we at times have had 300 plus people.
Okay.
This past year we changed the format and went to a 7K at night. It's our Shivering Shadows, and we did it on Zombie Road. And there was, for a first year event, we had 150.
We have a Zombie Road.
We do. That's a good story. We do. Yeah. What is now Rock Hollow Trail was known as Zombie Road. So that's a story for another day. But
Right.
Okay.
I like the idea of the 5K. You said the logo was complete already, which would be wonderful. It's a money saver. I like the fact that it starts and ends at City Hall. I think it'd be an important event to do and not have it compete with a parade. I'd like to see us move forward with the 5K event, 5K, 7K, whatever you end up choosing.
this one would be a 5K.
5K, okay.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes, we do.
I move that.
Okay.
I move that in 2021, we embrace the idea of the 5K and eliminate the parade for this year.
I second.
Libby, go ahead. You second?
I second. Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections?
I have a
Okay.
question. Have we ever, excuse me, Susan,
Yeah.
Kathy, have we ever done a bicycle race? I mean, not that I want to do it. I just wondered, have we done that?
Yes,
Tell
we
us anything.
actually, yeah, we annually do the tour to Wildwood. It was actually scheduled for this weekend, but we will move it because it's too much. But we actually we top that event off at I think about 350 bicyclists. We at its peak we had more than 1,000, and it overtook all of the roads. So it is exceedingly popular. We have a couple of routes, a 20 something mile and like a 48 mile ride. So yes, we do a bike race every year. We also host the Centaur Time Trial. That's in the spring, but that's part of a regional race series. And so we host that in the northern part of the city every March. So,
But we've never combined it with the Wildwood celebration in any way.
no, ma'am. Well, actually, we used to have the tour to Wildwood on Sunday of Celebrate Wildwood weekend. And then Joe and I wanted to die by Sunday night. So now tour to Wildwood is a different weekend because we're old. So. But thank you all.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to have a 5K, and it will be walk or run, right?
Yes, ma'am. All speeds.
Okay, all speeds. All right, sounds good. And are we going to provide, I don't know if it's in the budget for this, a t-shirt or anything like that, like we have for other races
Yes.
and things?
We will, and that is the perfect segue into Mr. Vunich's sponsorship memorandum. But yes, we generally charge for our 5Ks, but they always come with some type of cool apparel item. So.
Okay, all right. Mr. Vunich.
Before we move to sponsorships, under entertainment, we have a lot of items queued up. What do y'all think?
Of course, I think we're thrilled about the McCune band. I think that's wonderful. And it's exciting to hear about the kids' activities being able to come back. I was really concerned about that before, when it seemed like we were just sort of eliminating everything last year. The bounce house, the kids' activities, and even potentially the movie theater, particularly if it might be a hot afternoon, that could be a great respite from the heat.
Mm-hmm.
So notwithstanding the Boy Scouts, which I again want to give Mr. McGowan an opportunity to discuss, is there anything on that list of items you don't want us to pursue?
So just as a recap, it was a bounce house, the scavenger hunt, was that still a part of that?
Oh, yeah.
And the movie theater and the bus and the paint, arm painting. I like it all.
What's
And
the
what were
bus?
you going to pursue with the library? Did you say something about the library?
Yes, we were just going to reach out to them for some programming ideas.
Oh, okay.
And we'll also ask them if they'd like to have a booth.
Okay.
And then in that checklist, that would include also the artists until those areas are full, and then open it up to crafters. I say yes to all those ideas. And thank you. They're wonderful.
I agree.
Before the department requests a motion, with the permission of the chair, Mr. McGowan, what's the Boy Scouts thinking?
Well, I haven't, it's been too early. I haven't started planning anything with any of the units. I'm going to start that this month. But a couple of things. Well, one thing I did want to ask Joe or Gary, are we at a point where we can start talking about where exactly the scouts would be? And the reason I'm asking that is the safety rules and scouting for the things like the BB guns and archery have changed. And I'm going to have somebody come out and give the blessing to do this, like I did a few years ago. So I would need to be able to have to show them where it's going to be. Are we at that point yet?
Mr. McGowan, we have two locations. One is up on Plaza Drive and part of the parking garage. We're working with the fire district to see if there's an option that would work up there, given the senior care facility. Our first brush with it wasn't too positive, but we're still looking at some details up there. Secondly, then we would be down below here by City Hall and utilize the Village Green. And if we move down to City Hall site, we'll have ample room for all of the events plus the bounce houses. And so it may actually, with the bounce houses being reintroduced, work better.
Okay. Because of course, the issue there that I'm speaking of is the distance behind the activities, so that the BB guns and the arrows don't hit somebody on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if you haven't had a chance to walk the Village Green, maybe sometime, maybe not next week when it's 0 degrees, but maybe sometime between now and our next meeting, Gary and I and you can go out there and take a look at it.
And you think we're far enough along where we'd have a good idea between those two options where the scouts could be? So I could, so I would have in my mind if it looks like it's going to meet the new requirements.
Yeah, Ken, if you remember that, not last year, but the year before that, we had a location, we had it all set up in similar fashion that we're considering now, which ultimately was a really great location for you guys because everybody had to go through you to get to the bounce houses and back. And
right.
In my mind right now, of course, we all got to talk about it. It's a similar location.
Okay. Okay. All right. I know what
So
you mean.
So Gary, you're talking that open field, correct?
Yeah, the 6 acres that's just to the
Right.
to the west of City Hall.
Okay.
All right.
That is a great location.
I might still try to schedule a few minutes with you then and go walk it again. Okay.
Okay.
And the last thing I just want to share something with you all, FYI, because it relates to the discussion you had earlier. But you know, that big event, Scout Fest, that we're working around in October, where all the scouts in the St. Louis area go to Forest Park and have a weekend of events. Scouting canceled that event this year. And I'm sharing that because of the reason, their main reason. There were several reasons, but the main reason they canceled it was what we were talking about earlier, the uncertainty of exactly what the situation is going to be in late September, early October. They had, just like us, they're having to put money down on things and making it real, and they didn't feel comfortable enough that it would come off without some restrictions still in place. So just FYI, they canceled it. They said they're looking at another date, but it didn't sound very strong. I think it's canceled for another 10 years. But I just wanted to share that with you. That was their final decision.
Ken, are
Thank you.
the reenactors, are we considering them again this time?
Yes, and I had checked with them before. They're interested.
Great.
So I gotta get back with them and
Good.
you know, see about the dates and see if that works. But yeah, they're interested.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
So I think after that, Joe, I think we need a motion to accept what's on the list as it stands or not. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All
We
right.
would love a motion.
Okay, I put forth a motion then to accept what's on the list for Celebrate Wildwood, all the activities. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any comments? Questions? None? Okay, there's our list.
Thank you all.
I want to
You're
thank
welcome.
city staff for all these great ideas and resurrecting so many of the original ideas. We appreciate all your efforts.
Absolutely. You guys do
So-
a fantastic job.
One question on the scavenger hunt, because I think that sounds like a great idea. Have you done anything on that? Or is that just in the beginning stages?
Depending on the Boy Scouts, we're going to have at least 2 locations, one by the archery range and the hatchet throw. Oh, kidding. Sorry.
Bonus points if you find the hatchet in your head.
Yeah. You win.
You win.
The event.
Okay.
Prize.
So,
We have just started discussions, and some of it's going to depend on the layout, but we've had several discussions on different types of scavenger hunts. You know, there's different almost urban types where you spell words from signage. There's ones where they're more nature based in the village green. But again, we wanted to get a little bit further down the road on layouts and exact locations, but there's also apps you can use. So we have a bunch of ideas that we've been bouncing around. I think we'll be able to figure something out.
Okay.
But we'll take suggestions as always.
All right.
Except the hatchet. That's
Except
not
the
a
hatchet.
suggestion. Sorry, Joe.
Joe's really into that hatchet. He loves that.
Silly threw against Gary. Don't challenge Gary to a hatchet throw. He's scary good.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Sponsorships, we covered that.
well, ma'am, we kind of grazed it, but I'd just like to finish what Kathy kind of started. At the last meeting, there was a desire to expand the sponsorships beyond the traditional 3 levels we offer. And the 3 levels are identified in the memorandum that was prepared, $250, $500, and $1,000. And for whatever level a business or organization or an individual picks, they get certain perks associated with it. The thought was, with COVID-19 and trying to build back a community feel, that we should offer, let's say, 2, at least 1, if not 2 lower levels. And so the department is recommending 2 levels. One would be at $100, and it would be intended for businesses and not-for-profits. And what we would offer them for $100 would be, they would be on a banner, but there would be maybe 2 or 3 businesses on the banner, and they would be placed on the street. As well as we would reduce the price of a booth at the event. The idea being is they get some visibility, they share that visibility, but we would make sure that their name and logo is readable, so they're not wasting their money. And then secondly, it's a good way to get potentially more people to be at the event as a vendor, a business, or organization. And so the thought was we could do it from that perspective. The lowest level would be $50, and that would be for residents and individuals. And what they would receive is free admissions to the Wildwood Greenway 5K run walk, and also as part of the packet for that event, a drink and food ticket. And so we get them in the door at the start of the event, and we keep them around because the drink and food booths are not open till 11 a.m.
That's a good idea.
Very good.
Any other comments on those? I think the levels, so, all right, the levels then would be 50, 100, 250, 500, and 1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. How does that sound to everyone?
I love it.
Madam Chair, Ms. Helfrey has her hand raised.
Yes, Vicki.
Thank you. This is directed kind of to Joe and Kathy again. I'm wondering, I've suggested this in the past, and I'm just going to bring it back up again. I'm wondering if there's a way that that we could invite the local nurseries, because we have several here in Wildwood, to maybe decorate a corner, maybe as part of their sponsorship. Fall's a beautiful time of plants in Missouri, and so that might be something to bring attention to Pasiglias and Zicks and all the other nurseries that we have out here, Sugarbud Fields, or I think that's the name of it. So I'm just wondering if we can extend that invitation to the local nurseries to kind of do something along those lines. Thank you.
I think
Kathy,
that's a
Joe,
great
your
idea.
thoughts?
I think that's a great idea. It could be artist in bloom like they have at the museum, something really nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. I thought of it, or it came to my mind a couple of years ago when we were doing the art fair, and I thought that would be a way to get some people that aren't traditional artists to do something. Also, you know that I'm all about signs, Joe, and it sure would be nice if we had some signs in like that area that we own along Highway 109 going into the park, advertising this event for people that drive down 109, so that the people that don't, pay close attention to what's going on in downtown Wildwood are reminded of it and kind of have it, see it in their face. So thank you.
Well, from the perspective of the department, if we move the event down in front of City Hall, I think there'll be ample opportunity for the nurseries to provide some kind of elegance to the street, the stage, and the pathway between the street and onto Village Green. So if there's no objection with regards to the commission members, we'll reach out to the nurseries and see if they're interested in participating. And certainly we then can offer them a street banner for their participation, the opportunity to place signage at the event around their area, and then for the most part, probably treat them as either a $500 sponsor or a $1,000 sponsor if you should choose.
Could I clarify what this is all about with the plants? I love the idea of having plants there to beautify an area, but would they be offered the opportunity to sell plants from there, or would that not be okay?
Well, I didn't think that far in advance. I was just thinking of them being able to kind of set up a little, on the street corner, set up a little vignette with plants and put their name by it. It's kind of a way to advertise. So if we're talking about selling or not selling, the tag, you guys are it.
I like the idea of letting them sell the plants.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would be the issue of them not being? I mean, why wouldn't they be able to sell? I guess my question.
Our restriction would be is if someone purchased it, they couldn't pick it up till after, let's say, 5 o'clock or something, right before the main concert starts. But thereafter, yeah, they could come back, or I'm sure the nursery would be glad to take it back and make sure they got it.
So you would be thinking of them buying the actual display pieces,
or anything they bring.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it sounds like fun.
Why not? It's something different, something new.
Maybe some of the nurseries might be interested in having a booth. I would offer that out to them too.
Yep, I like that idea.
Well, I know Pasiglet, when we had back, I don't know, before Christmas in town center, we had the vendors and they had booths. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, it was the winter market.
Right. And I know Pasiglia's had a booth, and for years they have not sold Christmas trees. And they had a booth and it was all Christmas wreaths, and they were promoting the fact that they were going to be selling Christmas trees for the first time in like 20 years. And I was really happy because that's where we got our tree. And they had wreaths on display. So this might be pretty good. Zix might want to participate with a booth, and Pasiglia's.
Our greenhouse with the poinsettias.
Right.
Right.
Are we doing the giveaway like we did with the golden ticket for the art show? Are we going to do anything like that for this event? Because if so, that might be something that we say, hey, do you want to put one of your, let's say, I'm just saying Doug Zick because he's down the street from me. So if Doug Zick decorated a corner and then we said, if we're doing the golden ticket, if you win, then you get this plant off of this exhibit after the event is over. Or if we're not doing that, then if there's any kind of a drawing, that might be something to do. But I just think it would be cool to have the local nurseries get involved and do something like that.
I agree.
It would.
And I'd also like to make sure that we, I know that Joe and Kathy are like, they have outthought all of us on all of this, but I just have to throw in my 2 cents because that's the way I am, doggone it. And I just want to make sure that we invite the not-for-profit organizations in the area to come. For example, the Birds of Prey Center, the Wolf Center, and then that little wild life rehab place down off of Kiefer Creek. So, I mean, since we're going to invite the library, I think that would be great to invite them as well. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Thanks.
Thanks, Vicki.
Now, do we need a motion for the plants, the nurseries?
Well,
Or
I
is
would
that just
collect it.
included in the list?
Yeah, with your permission, Ms. Ward, make it inclusive as part of the sponsorship memorandum. So just,
Okay. And hopefully they'll all get back to you before March.
we'll do our very best.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I think that was the last thing. Our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, March 3rd.
Madam Chair, can we have a motion on the sponsorship?
Sure. Okay. Oh, yeah, we
Sorry.
don't have that. The
I
5
thought we were just
categories.
including it. I move that we include the sponsorship as presented.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Comments? Okay, it's so moved.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, our next, Joe, Kathy, did you have anything else for the commission? Anything we didn't cover? Okay, our next
ma'am.
meeting then is scheduled for March 3rd.
I will bring you a plate. I will bring you a plate.
Okay, should I make a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes.
I would
Thank
like to make
you.
a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, take care, everyone. Any
Thank you.
objections? Okay, stay
Stay
warm.
safe. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Good night.